Oh, what up? How you guys doing out there today? This is your boy Roto Beast. I'm here with my boy Jeremy, aka DFS Dudes. We're here to present you our NFL Week 1 running back picks. If you're new to this channel, please make sure to click the subscribe button below. This way you can watch all my NFL, MLB, and NBA videos. If you haven't came and checked out our website here at dfscheatsheet.com, you're absolutely missing out. We have all the tools to help you compete with the pros day in and day out, including a complete optimizer, tons of content, daily FanDuel and DraftKings cash lineups. Hey, we're truly a one-stop shop for all your DFS needs. So make sure to come check out the site here at dfscheatsheet.com. So, hey, what up, Jeremy? How you doing out there, bro?
What's up, man?
Hey, we're back. Got done with that quarterback video, kind of ready to roll into running backs. Running backs a fun topic, man. Running backs are a position that's always been fantasy gold for the past few years. You always kind of want to, pay up for running backs in general. Last year, I feel like things changed a little bit, and I feel like people started targeting a little bit more higher priced wide receivers and kind of because there was a little bit more value at the running back position, with running backs kind of getting a little bit more hurt last year. So yeah, I feel like we got a pretty good grasp on some running backs that we're liking this week. Real quick before we do jump into these running back videos, you got anything to say as far as running back this week? So are you kind of ready to go?
Yeah, look, you've got to find running backs that fill up the stat sheet. You've got to find guys that are, and for that, you really need. I don't think you can take a bunch of chances on guys that aren't going to be the thoroughbred running back. You can't take a third down guy.
Right.
And if you do understand what you're doing, you're taking a guy that's only got upside, and you need him to get a huge run for a touchdown, or you need him to get a screen pass on third down that he breaks for a 40-yard touchdown.
Goal line carry, stuff like that.
At the end of the day, it all equates to the same thing. You've got to take the money that you're spending on the player and divide that by how many touches he's going to get. And that's where you figure out where your value's at. You can't spend $6,000 on a guy who's going to get, 9 touches and not spend $9,200 on a Zeke, who's a 3-down running back who not only we know he does in the running game, but he contributes in the passing game, screens, swings, checkdowns, the whole 9 yards. So that's what it's about with the running back position. I agree with you. People did spend more emphasis on wide receivers, but there's a lot of wide receivers. There's not very many running backs who you can get to do playing all facets of offense.
Right. The one quick thing I will mention before we do jump into these guys is there's a lot of running backs that are cheap this week. Running backs that, they're probably going to be the lowest prices you're going to get on these guys moving forward. So, there's definitely, like I said, some underpriced running backs that we can look at. And let's jump into it, man. We'll start kind of with the higher end guys, and I'll work our way down, and we'll get some good value plays. First guy we'll go with, this is the guy everybody's been taking in all season long drafts as their number 1 overall pick. You're looking at Saquon Barkley. I like him. We talked about it earlier, though, when we were talking about quarterbacks. The Cowboys have a good defense, and it's scary a little bit with Barkley. But Barkley is one of those guys. He's going to touch the ball, 30 to 35 times. He's going to get 20 carries, 10 targets. Eli showed that last year. The Giants showed the commitment to do that. This is Saquon's second year in the system. They're going to force him the ball. So even though it is a tough matchup, I don't know if he's necessarily the cash game guy. I think I would like to go on the flip side with Elliott, which is $100 less, but we know he's in a really good matchup against the Giants defense who isn't very good. But let's just kind of combine them. And we could talk about kind of Saquon Barkley and Elliott. They're playing in the same game. They're $100 difference of price tag. What's your thoughts on those guys?
I'm just going to tell you this first. Look, we were on Dallas's defense last year, and I think everybody thought, oh, you guys are Cowboy fans, and you're being homers with the pick. But this is a really good defense, man. This is a really good. Leighton Vander Esch is a guy that we talked a lot about last year when nobody even knew who the guy was, right? You got Jalen Smith, just got paid, right? I think a big deal here is you see Sean Lee. We know how good of a linebacker Sean Lee is. He's moved now to a linebacker position. He's not playing Jalen Smith is. That defensive line with DeMarcus Lawrence, Antoine Woods, Tyrone Crawford, Malik Collins. They got Taco Charlton. Dallas is a pretty stacked defense. Byron Jones at corner, Xavier Woods at free. This is a top 5 defense this year. I don't like this matchup for Saquon Barkley. I get the play right now, and I get the pick for week 1 because the volume should be there, and that's one thing we just talked about. And he did have the game where he had like 17 targets, I think, last year in the first game at Dallas. But that's all he had. They couldn't run the ball, and there's not a lot of weapons around Eli Manning. There's not a lot of weapons around Saquon Barkley. So I'm not high on Saquon. I'm not against it if you want to use him because of the volume he's going to get. On the flip side of it, you're talking about one of the best offensive lines in all of football. And you're talking about a guy in Zeke who does everything. He catches the football. We talked about the screen game, the swings, the checkdowns, 3-down running back.
He just got paid, so he's going to have an extra pep in his step.
He just got paid, and it's not like he needed training camp. Aaron Rodgers didn't play in one game.
Right. Yeah, right? For sure. So, I mean, my take on those two guys being the two highest priced running backs, I mean, I would say Elliott would be basically the cash game play if you want to pay up at running back, and Saquon would kind of be the pivot GPP play. It's kind of the way that I would put both of those guys.
And that's bold in saying that because we really don't have any idea what kind of a load Zeke is going to get.
Yeah, I think he's going to get his regular workload. They said he was working out. He knows the offense. You seen last year, he was getting in trouble. He was out for a game or two. He would come back, and they would give him his normal workload. You know what I mean? So I think that Zeke is going to get his. I mean, and I really like Zeke this week. I definitely think the matchup is really, really good. Barkley, like I said, we got to consider him just because of the workload he's going to get. Moving on from the top two highest priced guys. Another guy that if you want to pay up and you can kind of get a little bit contrarian with is you can go with McCaffrey going against the Rams. It's not necessarily the best matchup, but McCaffrey, I mean, the workload is there, just like the Zeke and the Barkleys at first last year, earlier in the year. McCaffrey wasn't getting the same kind of workload. He was getting a good workload, but he wasn't getting the workhorse workload. And then as the season went on, he started getting better. They started, feeling more comfortable with him, and he ended up being that 3-down back that they really liked. The only thing that really kind of pushes me off McCaffrey a little bit, and it's the same thing when I talked about Cam Newton, is in the red zone. Barkley, Elliott, they're going to get those red zone carries compared to McCaffrey in the red zone inside the 5-yard line. That's possibly Cam Newton getting that rushing touchdown. And that's the only thing that really scares me with McCaffrey.
I'm not big on McCaffrey this week. Look, he's a better play on DraftKings than he is on FanDuel because of the full point you get on DK for the reception.
Right.
He's going to get 10 or 11 targets.
Easy.
He's going to get 10 or 11 targets. But this is one of those types of games where I could see him being limited to 10 to 12 carries. I don't think this is a 20-carry game. And that's not because it's a knock on McCaffrey. Like you said, we saw that as the year went on. He had the 20-carry games and the 10-target games. He had the monster workload. I just think when you look at the Rams' defense, they've got a really good front seven, and their back half is really good. You got to keep Talib back. Helps more Weddle now at the safety position, right? I mean, we're talking about they've got a good defensive backfield. They've got a good nickel corner. I don't think the workload is there in this game. I think that they're going to be forced to throw the football down the field. A guy I talked about on the quarterback video was Chris Hogan. I probably like targeting Chris Hogan a little bit more than I like McCaffrey.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Moving down, we'll kind of go in the mid-tier. There's a couple guys that I feel they're pretty underpriced, compared to what they were, towards the end of the season last year. They're very fair prices. And this is why I feel you don't necessarily have to pay up at running back this week because there's a couple guys that are mispriced. I'll kind of clump them together, and then we can kind of just go through each of them real quick. First guy that I'm thinking about is Dalvin Cook, 7.4. You got Nick Chubb, 7.4 as well, and then you got Fournette, 7.2. So they're all right there in the mid-tier, and I feel basically every single one of those guys is a little bit too cheap, for what they do.
In the quarterback video, we talked about Kansas City, right?
Right.
Tyrann Mathieu now, he replaces Eric Berry. They got Frank Clark over from Seattle. look, Justin Houston and D Ford, blah blah blah. You can talk about what's not there, right? They were bad last year. Of the guys you just mentioned, Fournette to me is clearly the best play there, right?
Yeah.
Dalvin Cook.
See, I like
Dalvin Cook. I would rank number 2.
I like Dalvin Cook a lot too because Atlanta's defense is horrible. Atlanta's one of those teams that they got Matt Ryan. They have a really good offense, and they just every game seems like a shootout for the Falcons. And that I do like Dalvin Cook a lot. And I definitely agree with Fournette. What's your thoughts on Nick Chubb, though?
So I would go Fournette, Cook, Chubb of those 3. And I don't like Chubb a lot this week. I like Chubb overall as the year goes, but I don't like him a lot this week. I think that I want to take a wait-and-see approach with Tennessee's defense. I mean, we've talked about it. There's a lot of young talent. It was a really good defense last year. I kind of want to wait and see before I go big on Nick Chubb. So, if you're playing 150 lineups and you put him in 5 or 6% of your lineups, I'm okay with that. Not 25% exposure to Nick Chubb is not what I'm looking for this week. So if Nick Chubb is 3 for me, there's some guys we've talked about before we came on that I like a lot better than Nick Chubb.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Cook and Fournette, I feel both of those guys are underpriced. I feel like Dalvin Cook this year, as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be one of the workhorses. He really started coming on last year. And Fournette as well. You got
John Jones and Vic Beasley in that Atlanta defense, and Atlanta had 2 first-round picks, and they didn't pick a defensive player. They picked offensive players with that and chose to fill offensive teams on a defensive
doesn't care. Atlanta doesn't care about defense. They just want to outscore everybody. Right? For sure. So we'll move on from the couple mid-tier plays we're talking about, and we'll kind of go to a couple lower-end guys. One guy that I'm really liking is I like Carson. I think Chris Carson's in a good spot here. 6.6 is a very fair price tag. He's one of those guys, towards the end of the year when he got healthy, he started getting his 20 carries a game out there in Seattle. And we know that Seattle likes to run the ball. They do a lot of play action, little dump offs out the backfield as well. So 6.6 for Chris Carson, I think is a really, really good play. What do you think about Carson?
Love him.
Love him this week? Okay. Yeah, for sure. So I think, so Chris Carson's a guy that we like. And, hey, we're just going to talk about him real quick. A guy that me and you mentioned, I think a guy that nobody's really going to be on. He's going to be in. He's just dirt cheap, is Frank Gore for the Bills. They got rid of LaShawn McCoy. Frank Gore's the clear-cut number 1 running back. He's going to get, plenty of opportunities. He's going to be the goal line back. And at 4.9, I mean, I just feel like, yes, I mean, Frank Gore is not going to give us the crazy fantasy points that, and not even give us the upside that Elliott or even like one of the mid-tier guys like Cook or Fournette's going to give us. But for the price tag, I mean, you could fit so much around it, and he's still going to get goal line opportunities. What's your thoughts about?
Love the price on Frank Gore. I love the fact that he's listed as the lead guy on the depth chart, right? You take a look at Devin Singletary, who's on this roster, the rookie, a lot of hype around him. People are thinking that the reason they let LaShawn McCoy go was because they like this guy, Devin Singletary. But look, he's small. He's 5'7", and he's from Florida Atlantic. So he didn't play in big-time college football, right? That worries me a little bit about him, and that makes me like Frank Gore a little bit more as far as a load goes and shares. The thing I don't like, though, is the Jets I really think the Jets are going to be much improved. I think that they'll end up being a top 15, possibly top 10 defense this year. You talk about Jamal Adams at safety. Talk about Leonard Williams, a guy they drafted, very heavily touted guy as a defensive lineman. He wrecks havoc on offensive lines. And then they pick up C.J. Mosley. So they've got really good players at all 3 levels of their defense, and that bothers me a little bit with an older running back in Frank Gore. But for the price at a running back 2, what do you really need out of the guy?
Right. No, that's what I'm looking at.
Goal line touchdown. I mean, he can get you 25 yards and a goal line touchdown, and he pays off at 4.9.
For sure. And I can tell you right now, I mean, we're both thinking he's going to get, plenty of opportunities at 4.9. Week 2, if he just has a decent week this week 2, he's going to jump up to 6,500. At 4,900, the bare minimum price tag. So I just think that, we're both thinking the same exact thing. It's a price thing. Price is there, and that's what's really kind of putting us on Frank Gore. So that's really kind of where we're at with running backs. I mean, it was a pretty quick, pretty easy video.
The guy that I want to talk about, though, before you jump off that we haven't mentioned, the guy that I'm probably the most excited to talk about is Mark Ingram.
Oh, Mark Ingram. Okay. I wasn't really on Mark Ingram too much, so let me hear what you got to say about Mark Ingram.
I think there's probably a few reasons. The first one is there's so much hype around Lamar Jackson. The second one is it's week 1, and a lot of people who don't pay attention to what's going on don't know that Mark Ingram's in Baltimore, right? I mean, there's a lot of people that will play, and they'll put money in entries, and then they're going to go to Buffalo Wild Wings and watch the game, and they're going to be like, oh, shit, Mark Ingram, he's not in New Orleans anymore? So a little bit hidden, right?
Right.
The hype around Lamar Jackson makes me think that Ingram's going to be very low owned. His price tag is cheap. This is a workhorse running back, right? And
no, for sure.
The system doesn't have a ton of weapons against a defense that was really, really, really bad last year. Really bad in Miami. Look, they should have. This is another reason why I don't like Jackson. You talk about Minkah Fitzpatrick. You talk about Xavier Howard. They have a really good, strong secondary, right? Lamar Jackson can't throw the football very well. He can run it. So if they got some zone read stuff going on and they do spy him, that's a lot of gives in the mesh for Mark Ingram. It could be a lot of opportunity. Talking about a guy to me that I think is so far off the radar for people because of all of the popular kind of talking tout heads that have been on other guys, bigger names, better situations, newer faces. And the other guy I think people are really missing the boat on is Le'Veon Bell. I think that you give a guy in Le'Veon Bell a year off. He's the most patient running back we've ever seen play as far as setting up blocks, waiting for holes to open. He's not in a hurry to get to the line of scrimmage. He can make people miss. We're talking about complete running backs. We're talking about guys, if you're going to invest in them, we're talking about guys that can 3-down running back, that can catch the football in the screen, swing game, check down game, and get you rushing yards. Le'Veon Bell led the Pittsburgh. He was the second leading receiver on that team when they had him and Antonio Brown. So now you gave him a year off. He's fully healthy. He didn't get banged up last year. Less miles on him. And this guy wants to make a statement. And we talk about guys getting paid like Zeke. By the way, he got paid.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, I mean, that's a really good point. Le'Veon Bell, 7.9, not even 8,000. I guarantee you in the next couple weeks he's going to be right there, the same price tag as Barkley and Elliott. And he just came out today, and they were talking about it on ESPN. He told his coach, hey, man, give me the rock. I want the ball. I want my opportunities. He's a guy that is going to get the same amount of opportunities as a Barkley and an Elliott. May not be necessarily this week, but as the time goes on over the season, he's a workhorse back. You hit it right on the nail. I think it's a really good buy low opportunity on Le'Veon Bell for sure. So, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with our running back video. It was quick, smooth. We gave you 9 or 10 guys, different price tiers to kind of help you kind of narrow down your player pool.
I would also throw – a guy we didn't talk about is David Johnson. Detroit was bad last year. Detroit was a team that we streamlined running backs against all year long. He's going to need some help. They're going to try to protect the quarterback. You're going to see some guys stack boxes and bring blitz. Anytime you're bringing blitz pressure and you're bringing a stacked box, you're going to talk about screen games. And we know David Johnson can go off in the screen game. So David Johnson's a guy I like a lot as well against a defense that looks to be improved but was really bad last year, and we streamlined running backs week in and week out against them.
Yeah, for sure. So, hey, man, if you guys want some more position breakdowns or you want a overview of everything that we're thinking about this week, make sure to check out the site, dfscheatsheet.com. You still got time to take advantage of our NFL Luxury Box special. Use promo code NFL 2019. And, hey, man, if we don't see you guys before then, good luck on your contest this week, all right? Peace out.